Welcome everyone to the Surveys Power User Track. We'll start with some quick introductions and then get into the agenda for today. So everybody, my name is Eric Cotto. I'm the COO of Question Pro. I've been here 11 years now. So I started when we were kind of a small company in Seattle, and it's been really fun to watch Question Pro grow up and go global. When I started, I was pretty involved in product. These days, as COO, I'm more back office. I manage the finance, a lot of the operations for the company, but still do dabble in products. So it'll be fun for me today, personally, to see some of the latest product and that we've contributed over the last year. We also have Anoop Sarandon. Anoop, wait, raise your hand. There you go. Anoop is our VP of Product and Engineering. So he runs our large distributed global product and engineering teams. So he's the guy behind delivering all the great products, services that you guys use on Question Pro. We also have Sanket Shekhar. Sanket, raise your hand. All right. Sanket is our director of product, really focused on the core surveys product that we'll showcase a lot of the features of today. Sanket's been here longer than me, I think 12 years, maybe more. So Sanket knows everything. Not only does he know everything about the product, he knows actually the history. So he can give you 12 years of history of a feature in Question Pro. But great resource for us today. And he'll be helping us showcase some of the new and upcoming stuff that we have going live. And last but not least, we've got Karthik Bhatt. Karthik, raise your hand so everyone knows who you are. And Karthik leads our US sales and accounts team. Karthik is a great resource. Obviously does a lot day to day in handling and making sure our customers are successful. He is also internally known as the unstumpable. Throw a problem at Karthik and he can solve it with Question Pro. His favorite thing to do is online poker. His second favorite thing to do is find new and innovative ways to use Question Pro to solve customers' problems. So super happy to have Karthik with us today to answer the nitty gritty. So throw anything you can at him. So we'll do about 40 minutes or so of what's new and a couple of product demos on some of our advanced features coming up or just recently launched. Then we're going to save a bunch of time at the end, really as long as everyone on this room would like, to go through and do a Q&A. So it's an ask us anything at the end, what we've showcased or other features questions you might have. It's an open mic at the end. So without further ado, we'll jump into the presentation that we have prepared. So Sanket, if you can share that for me. All right, so what is new on Question Pro? Let's get started here. What have we recently released? We got 4 things that I'll talk you through quickly before we jump into the demos on the recently released. The first is block flow, logic, and randomization. We're going to spend a good chunk of the demo on this, so I'll move pretty quick here. But at a high level, block flow is a way to group questions. That's just the beginning of the benefit, though. Really what you can do once you've grouped questions and organized your survey is run logic, randomization, A/B testing, a whole bunch of kind of sophisticated use cases against those grouped questions. This is great for researchers, anyone developing a really complex survey. And the benefits, as we'll see as we go through the demo, but they're pretty clear. You can avoid respondent fatigue by using different blocks and showing only certain blocks to certain users. So if you have a long survey, it's great for reducing respondent fatigue. Eliminate bias. Anoop will walk us through a use case where we do some of that. Obviously, running logic against blocks or randomization against the blocks is highly valuable in terms of data quality. And last but not least, the block flow allows us to run A/B testing on different concepts. So we'll look at that in more detail today as well. Next up, integrations. We highlight there Salesforce, HubSpot, Marketo. We've had integrations for years, really, but we've made some really cool updates that allow you to pump your survey data from Question Pro directly into one of your other business critical systems. We've shown the 3 there, the 3 marketing automation tools. We have many, many more use cases and integrations that we run through. One thing I do want to highlight here, we've recently made some great improvements to this. So anyone who used it in the past, you'll see a refreshed UI. It makes it much easier to point and click. Probably more importantly, we've enhanced the type of integration that we support. We used to do one-to-one mapping. So you could take your Question Pro data and put it into one object in, say, Salesforce. An object being a leads category or contacts or cases, which is like a ticket. So it's kind of a one-to-one connection between Question Pro and a section of Salesforce or one of the other tools. We now have a one-to-many mapping, which a lot of our clients has asked for. So you can take your survey data and update multiple different objects in one go on Salesforce, Marketo, any of the other services we use. So great use case there for people using the integrations. User roles and permissions. We won't go into this in a demo today, so I'll talk you through a little more detail. This is what it sounds like. It allows anyone who's managing a team of 3 or more to permission their users and what they can do or what they cannot do in the survey account. We used to have just 2 levels. You had an admin privilege, where you could pretty much do everything, and you had a user privilege, which was somewhat gated. Now, what we've done is we've made this highly configurable. There's actually over 75 different functions within Question Pro that you can permission individually to users. So a near limitless combination of how you can allow different users to access different parts of the application or of your surveys. Is super important for controlling data quality or just permissions access privacy across large teams. So if you're managing a large team, get in contact with us and we can give you a full demo of really the enhanced functionality here. Super powerful. Last but not least, on recently released is our updated API 2.0. We're not going to go into this because generally for our clients, it's a developer who does this for them. It's a developer on staff. And so we have many clients using it, but typically the setup is done through someone with some development chops. The thing you need to know here is this is much easier to use for your developers than the prior version of our API. So we've really streamlined the workflows, made it much more developer friendly. We've also made testing a lot easier. We now have what's called a no-code variety of testing that allows you just through a browser window like Chrome to set up and test the data flows between Question Pro and your systems. We use a service called Postman. So your developers will thank us, and you yourself will too, because it makes it a lot easier to verify that the data going from our system into your other business critical systems is seamless and correct. We've also updated our documentation on that. So anyone using the API will find this much easier to use. The old version of the API was sunset in July. So going forward, this is how you'll interact with our API. So that is what is recently released. We've got a few things in beta that I'm going to jump to next. And Sanket, if you could just advance. There you go. Thank you. The text highlighter question, this is in beta, it's available to use. If you want to get on our beta tester program, just ping us in the chat and one of us will get back to you. This is a new question type. This is a cool question type. It allows you to highlight certain sections of text in a question. It allows your respondents to. They can tag that with sentiment data, positive to negative, and then add comments. So we already have some clients doing some really cool stuff with this. If you're doing message testing or features or benefits testing, this allows you to push a sample advertising copy or sample marketing copy out into a survey, gather feedback on which sections of that copy or features or benefits resonate most with your users, and then use that to inform ongoing messaging through your company. So already some really interesting stuff being done with this question type. That is launching soon, but still in beta. So anyone who wants to use it, again, just let us know. There we go, merge data. This is another feature that's in beta. We have customers using this. You can get other folks using this and hopefully be launching fully publicly soon. Merge data is exactly what it sounds like. It allows you to take 2 data sets from 2 different surveys and combine them. And now the caveat here is that the questions themselves that you combine have to be identical. So you have to have the same response option, same question text. The surveys themselves do not have to be totally identical. So say you have 2 different surveys and they have 80% commonality of questions and you want to merge them. That would be a great use case for our merge data functionality. You can do this with up to 5 surveys. And again, we have customers using this. I'll walk you through a couple of use cases to get you thinking about why this might be relevant to you. We've had customers run very similar surveys over time, but run them as discrete surveys and want to combine those data sets. The questions may not be identical over time, but there may be a core set of 4 to 5 questions in a single survey that have been common over many years. This allows you to merge up those data sets and then run it against all of our analytical and reporting tools. So that's one use case. The other use case I thought was really interesting is we often have clients running very similar surveys across different geos. So you might have a survey running in South Africa, the UK, and Australia. But you may not have the exact same set of questions. You might, for instance, use different demographic questions depending on the country you're launching the survey in, different maybe product mix in some, but you have, again, 70 to 80% overlap in the questions. So we have clients merging different geo surveys and then doing common analysis across the data sets where they do align. So as someone who has merged many a data set in Excel, it's kind of a pain. So this is a great way to handle that within the tool, and then of course access the analytical tools on top of that. So this is, again, coming soon, and are excited to get this out there. I think it's a really powerful feature. So that's a little bit about what is recently launched and what is coming up in beta. I'm going to hand it over to Anoop here, who will tell us about what's on the horizon, not yet in beta, but a couple of cool new features that are coming down the line in the next few months here. So Anoop, you want to take it over here?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Gora. Can you guys hear me okay, all of you?
Gotcha.
Perfect. So the future is still going to be dealing with data. So we'll talk about data for a bit. There are two things I want to highlight. One is a cluster analysis feature, which is coming out, especially for the research license. I know Dan has talked about the time to insight model. Vivek has also talked about time to insight model. But this is, again, focused on our power user segment. So power users love segmentation. Now, when you look at segmentation by income, demographics, region, and many other labels. The problem here is sometimes these labels can be reductive. And when we look at cluster analysis, it's a capability which helps detect groups that naturally occurs in your survey response data and visually represents them. So you have these clusters, as you see, with demographic data, you have probably behavior data, or even belief-based qualities which you want to cluster together and find some kind of correlation visually first, and probably even take that data set to feed into a cross tab. So that's where we are innovating on. Take that data set and see, let's see if I can find further tabular data coming out of these clusters. So that's where we want to invest in from a product standpoint, and that's, again, futuristic, and that will definitely help with the deeper level of analysis Question Pro is standing for, right? So the next feature I want to talk about, again, on the data theme, is data quality. So this is a big thing for the audience business, especially Dan and Tim, who talked about data quality. Just recently, I think we had a presenter talking about this phenomenon called GIGO, which stands for garbage in, garbage out. We're trying to prevent the GI, which is the garbage in piece of Question Pro. So we want to ensure these 6 things are taken care of. One is making sure the data is clean, it's complete, comprehensive, obviously credible from a researcher standpoint, can verify this with some kind of calculatable score, and make sure this data is presentable back to the researcher. So things we're trying to prevent are straight lining, speedsters, gibberish answers, and continue to invest in that, along with systematic type of attributes, which comes from what we call IP addresses and machine fingerprinting. We are also introducing one more layer, which is even before it hits Question Pro, to detect bots, so that we prevent bad data when coming in. And finally, which we've heard recently from the likes of Energize and Kellogg's, is to do data coding much more better. So if you have data which is related, how do you present that in a much more easier manner to download data on your PowerPoints and Excel? So that talks about, I'm just talking about the future now. I'm going to oscillate back into what we have done. So I'm going to pass it on to the next 3 things we're going to talk about from a demo standpoint. So Sanket will take on block flow basics, after which I will leverage whatever Sanket has talked about and show you a simple way to do A/B testing within our platform. And Karthik will have an interactive hotspot demo, which will engage the audience here. So great. Sanket, you want to take it on?
Yes, thank you, Anup. Uh, a quick recap on survey blocks. Survey blocks, basically, it's a mechanism to group questions. So we'll jump into the demo now. You guys can see my screen, right? Uh, Awesome. So yeah, we have a quick example or a small example of a survey where we have a question where we are asking for sports respondents follow, and we want to ask follow-up questions. So the way to use blocks is basically for each of the sport, we have a different block. So baseball has a block, basketball has a block, and so on and so forth. So it makes it quite easy for you to manage these blocks, and you also know where the questions are. You can of course do all logic, all kinds of question types within the block. That still works. You can create a block by clicking on add block. But once you've set up the blocks, and a lot of times these blocks will be similar, so easier way is to just copy a block. So right now, the way we want to set this, set the logic up for the surveys, we have these three sports: baseball, basketball, tennis. So we'll ask them to choose, and based on their selection, they'll see those blocks. But I also have a block F1 which I just want to show to all. So let's create a block for tennis. So you click on the three dot menu here and click on copy, and that's it. Your block is ready. If you have logic within the block, of course that logic will be copied. Now we just have to make minor changes. So let's change this to tennis. Yep. And that's it. So that's how easy it is. Of course, if you have a longer survey with a lot of questions, it's going to save you a lot of time. So once you've set up the block, we want to set up the logic for this now. So we'll go under tools here. So near the top right, you'll see tools option, and under tools you have block flow. So for those who have used logic on Question Pro, if you know before blocks, you would have to set a lot of logic. Firstly, to the first question in the block, or what we are calling it block, and then of course on the last question. So all that has now been simplified. So here again to just reiterate. F1 will be shown to all. Of course, the first block will be shown to all, and then these three will be based on logic. So let's add logic here. So I only want to show to those who select here baseball. Yep. And I'll drag this in. So all you need to do is just simply drag it here and oops. Yep. That's it. So same way we'll do for these three. And for tennis. So yeah, that's our block flow here. So these blocks will be shown only if they select that they follow these ports. So let's save. And let's take a quick look at the survey now. So here, yeah, I'm asking for the sport. I'll select baseball and tennis. So next up, I'll see baseball. I'll see tennis. And then F1, I want everybody to see. So yeah, that's it. So that's a quick look at how we can utilize blocks with the simple survey. And with this, I'll hand it over to Anup for randomization.
Yeah, Sanket, looks like my share icon right now is a little frozen. I think I'll just give it a second here. Just give me a second. Okay, see if you folks can see my screen yet. Yep.
Yep.
Perfect. Good, good. Thank you, Sanket, for that. And I'll leverage what Sanket just said in the past presentation. So blocks are fundamentally used, like he pointed out, to group things together. I'm going to use blocks to use this concept called randomization to do an A/B test, right? So let's go through this use case for a bit. We have in this case we have a gaming researcher, and he or she's trying to find out which gaming bundle is better. And the use case here is that bundle is very similar in nature. You look at these two bundles. One is a shield and a sword, and you got a shield and an axe, and has gaming attributes. Very close concepts, if you want to use the word concepts from a market research standpoint, right? And when we use A/B testing, one of the benefits of using A/B testing is to reduce the bias of showing one concept before another concept, and getting some skew in terms of the data, in terms of bias. So this example here, I'm going to go straight into the example. Let me know if you guys can see my screen. Are we good to go? Good, perfect. So I'll go straight into this A/B test. I'll be using blocks again, like I said. And we have two bundles, gaming bundles, like I pointed out. One is the bundle called the Sky Pierce, another one is a Cleaver bundle. But I'll go straight into what Sanket pointed out earlier, the block flow, and showcase to you how this is set up. So I have a randomizer setup. So you see this option here, where I randomly display one of those two blocks from the list below, right? Not only am I displaying one of these two blocks, I'm also evenly presenting these blocks. So this gives you a clean split in terms of respondents coming in and seeing only one of these concepts or one of these blocks at any given time. So it'll be evenly split between these two blocks. Okay, so let me close this. And when I look at the survey itself, very straightforward. It's a very lightweight survey, so it's not like a full-fledged demographic survey you would see in a usual case, but this is for demo purposes only. I have a presentation text here identifying that you're an advanced gamer, and your participation is obviously voluntary, and that you will be redeeming using your crystals, which is also the same thing they use in this example as points. So and the bundle here has, like I said, been A/B split. So it's A and a B concept, and I'll walk you through how this looks like. So as a gamer, the respondent experience would look like this. I'm hoping you guys can see my screen. I'll start this survey as a War Night gamer, and I will be presented with one of these concepts, one of these bundles, right? And this bundle is a shield and axe bundle, and a simple attitudinal question here around, will I use my points to redeem this bundle? I'll say likely, and I'm done. So I've taken this game through that single test, a single concept, and I'll go again, showcase to you that was previously it was a shield and an axe, and now I probably, if it's working really well, I will get the other side of this test, which is the Sky Piercer with a bundle with a shield and a sword. So again, same question: Am I going to redeem points, my gaming points for this bundle? I fill that out. So that's essentially it. A quick demo. But let's look at how this is from an analytics standpoint. I'm curious to see what my winning bundle is. So I have a specific dashboard to see how this works from an A/B test. And as you see, my bundle one has shield and sword, has a lot of people who are likely to do this and very likely to do this. And my bundle two, I have the shield and axe, which is slightly lower in terms of likelihood, obviously here. I have same amount of almost same amount of respondents on both the bundle. And so you continue doing this, you will see that once your A and B counts are the same, you can come back to the right kind of sample size to make a decision around this, around the A/B test. So that's my side of this. Sorry, let me see if I can stop sharing. Karthik, are you able to? There we go. You can take this on from here.
Thanks, Anu. And let me quickly share my screen. And
I
then
think this is
assume,
also a time. I think this is also a time quarter. We're looking for Q&A questions when the block
oh
flow.
yeah, do you want to take a few minutes for Q&A before I start?
Uh, yes. Is there? Okay. We had at least one question come in from Jeannie. Is there a limit to the number of questions in each bundle? I guess in each block. It must be. Sanket, do you know that? If they're limited?
Yeah, no, there is no limit. However, there is a limit on the number of questions on a survey. But yeah, you can put as many as you want in different blocks. So there's no limit for questions within the block.
Got it. Okay. Good. I think that was it. A lot of interest in the beta program. Yes, please. I probably should have said contact your account manager. It'd probably be the fastest way to get that done. Radhika, you can make a list of those interested just from the chat. But best way to investigate that is through your account manager. And I think, yeah, that's it. Please do keep firing questions into the chat. We'll be sure to get to them as they come in.
I'll just
Okay.
wait for maybe a couple of minutes and then I think I can get started.
Why don't you go ahead and get started? I'll monitor the thread here.
Sounds good. I'm assuming everyone can see my screen.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Perfect.
Yep.
Awesome. So I'll be showcasing the Hotspot 3.0. So just for any of you who don't know what Hotspot is, it's basically kind of image testing. So it's a way to kind of collect some data on your images. And it's typically like you're going to demarcate different parts or specify different parts of the image, and then have the respondents kind of rate them on a defined scale, right? So it can be used for, a good example is you're designing like or revamping the packaging for one of your products, and you have 4 or 5 kind of different packaging ideas. So you want to do some image testing to see like how it's kind of what's the feedback from the general consumer. So that's like one example. Or you're doing a new logo, you want to see like how people are kind of resonating with that, so that again you could use something like a hotspot for that as well. Hotspot 3.0 essentially, so how that's different from what we had earlier. So traditionally, hotspot, you could only define areas of the image in quadrilaterals or other squares. But right now we've kind of pretty much enhanced it to do any shape. So you could do freehand, you could obviously do a square, you could do a rectangle, you could do a circle. So you can pretty much demarcate areas of the image in any shape or form, right? You're not restricted to any particular shape. So that's the crux of the Hotspot 3.0. We have done some enhancements to the analysis as well, but that's really more cosmetic. Fundamentally, uh, the shapes is really the key difference. So now I'm just going to quickly go into a survey that I've done. And I'm also going to share this with everyone. So I'm actually fairly interested to know what everyone thinks about the new notch in Apple's MacBook. I know in the phones there was a mixed opinion, and there still is a huge, I guess, debate on that. So I'm very curious to know how people feel about it, especially in the Mac. So I'm going to quickly just share this survey. I'd request everyone to quickly just answer that, and I'll answer it right here as well. So if you see the example here, I've taken the new kind of MacBook prototype and having people kind of rate different parts of this, right? So let's preview. And here you'll see, okay, I need to rate the notch. So I personally do like it. And the display image, I don't really have an opinion. And done, right? So it's as simple as that to kind of collect this data. Setting this up is super easy. And again, like I said, you could, if I go into edit, here you'll see in the panel, you can pretty much do any kinds of shape, name them, and then have them rated. And it's super easy to set up. And now I'll give it probably a minute for them to just put in some data. And let's go into analytics. Okay, so we already have 4 or 5 responses. It was 22, I know. Sorry, it was 18 when I started, so it's already at 22. So I think I can go into analytics. So if I go into the hotspot analysis, I'll see the question right here. And then obviously you can clearly see like how many people like the notch, dislike the notch, don't care too much about it. Same goes for a display image, and then you could have n number of parts of the image that are being rated, right? And obviously this is just a test question, but typically you'll also have probably some demographics like gender, ethnicity, and stuff like that. So once you have that, then you can also start kind of comparing, how maybe the younger population feels about it versus older population, and different demographics feel about it. So that's something that you can do very easily as well. So that's all on the Hotspot 3.0. If there are any questions, please post them on chat. We would love to answer them. We're still kind of doing some more enhancements to this as well. So, if you have a project in mind, you want to kind of discuss that, ask some questions about that, feel free to just fire them into chat and we'll be happy to take them on. Perfect. That's all from the Hotspot 3.0, and waiting for any questions that you guys might have.
We did have one question come in. It was already answered in the chat. It was actually about the block A/B testing. Ira asked if you can do ABCDE. Yes, you can do more than just an A/B test. So you can rotate through multiple different blocks. So we do support beyond just two concept testing.
Yep. You can pretty much do n out of m, right? So if you have like 8 concepts and you want to probably show 2 at random, 3 at random, fairly easy to do that.
Great. So go ahead and ask away. And I would say, Karthik, at this point, we can open it up to Stump Karthik. If anyone has any questions about anything, even not related to the demos or the products you just saw, this is a chance for our power users, someone who's looking to do something advanced, with the system, to let us know. All right, looks like so we'll give it another couple minutes on questions, and then if not, we can wrap up. I think this is the last session of the day. Okay, Ira has asked a question. This sounds like a good one for Anoop, perhaps. What cluster algorithms are you considering?
We're starting off here with the k-means type clustering, so we'll start off with that. We'll layer on a couple of other algorithms on top of that, but we want to start off with that.
I'm super excited for the cluster analysis. I think that's going to be like a game changer for sure.
Okay, we got a comment coming in from Twanda. Really? Oh, hi, Twanda. I remember you from last year. You had a bunch of good questions, so welcome back. Really like the improvements that have been made to Question Pro over the years. I have a question about admin configuration emails. Is there a way to set criteria so that specific email addresses can receive responses based on the response to a question?
Yeah, I think so. We have action alerts, and using action alerts, we can set criteria, and based on the criteria, we can set recipients. So if, for example, in the example that we saw, if you chose tennis as your sport and you wanted to send it to a specific group of people, so we can do notification groups also, but we can also send to individual recipients. So that is possible with action alerts.
All right. Great. Yeah. Thank you, Radhika. There's a little article about action alerts there. And Twanda says, thank you. Okay. Oh, Ira's got another question for us. All right. Hopefully this is another good stats one. Are there algorithms that have been developed more recently that allow the use of scales having different ranges? This can't be done well with k-means. Oh, okay. That's a statement. There are algorithms, not are there. There are algorithms. So I think, Noop, something to look into there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, the ones we are considering, since it looks like Era does have a good understanding of cluster algorithms. Obviously, k-means is one easy to approach and scale type of algorithm. We have another approach with what we call mini batch k-means. The other one we are considering, since you want to understand the R&D aspect of it, is called BIRCH, which stands for Birch. I forget what it stood for. I think it's a hierarchical tree type of algorithm, which is much more beneficial for different ranges, so scales with different ranges. So the marketing teams, like we had a marketing consultant who liked the affinity propagation type clustering too. So that's also something we're considering. But just from an engineering standpoint, we'd ensure this thing scales and make sure, with large data sets, especially when you look at iterative reducing and clustering, that has to work at a scale. We're looking at scales of 10 million records and upwards. So especially this has to work even for all our product lines, not just the market research product line too. Does that make sense? Ira? Thank you.
All right. Okay, we got some more questions. I've been monitoring the chat stream here, and I just was alerted that there are questions actually in the question section. So I have a little bit of overlap. Mike has asked us a question, which I think is now good in both the chat and the question. So sorry about missing that earlier, Mike. He has got a market researchy question. What is the best way to determine the level of commitment, bias, honesty, a survey respondent has to their survey response?
Who wants to take that on?
Which
I'm not the guy.
I think our data quality fits best here. So with data quality, we do have speed traps. So if respondents are not paying enough attention, or they are speeding through the survey, then we can catch those respondents. So if we know that a survey, you need to spend at least 15 minutes and somebody completes it within, say, 7 minutes, we'll immediately catch it and flag that as a data quality issue. So data quality flags, there are different kinds of flags, of course, but the speed traps is one way to determine their commitment and focus on the survey. So that should help here. We also have red herring questions. Those are used. So we can also set up, we are working on it now and it will be live soon, is data quality terminates. So you can set up red herring questions like select a sport and put in like some non-sport. So if somebody selects that non-sport, we can terminate those responses. So those are a few ways we can make sure respondents are actually paying attention and answering honestly.
Yeah, and just to add on that, the external motivators for surveys have always, when I say external motivators, we're talking about rewards and such, always have some kind of a correlation to the quality of data, inverse correlation, right? It's because the surveys are also spanned out to multiple other respondents to get that incentive. So that when you talk about bias and honesty, the honesty is like really an internal motivator in that context. We talked about context earlier with Romy, that context does matter on how much that person is internally motivated to give you feedback, especially if that is a product they care about. So These are things, again, there are behavioral type questions, which I was trying to defer to the market researchers in the room. We have, I think, Dan also here in case he can talk. The behavioral type questions will make a big difference. There's also the modality in terms of capturing data. So we have that, what do we call it? The video question, Karthik, I'm forgetting top of my head.
Live cast.
Yeah, live cast. As soon as we get on the video, people tend to be more honest. Is a behavioral thing, which Harvard researchers have found out, especially when you want to read something coming back from a survey. Ask them to play that back on a video. So there's some behavioral things which our researchers, our market researchers have figured out can increase honesty, increase commitment in terms of quality of responses, right? So.
Okay, good questions. Let's see. Ira, thank you. Yes, we're working very hard to identify cheaters, and that's a kind of a never-ending game. And so we're always trying to stay one step ahead of how people might provide, particularly when they're incentive, provide fraudulent responses. So we're always working on that one. Let's see, I know, Tonda, did you get all of your questions answered about roles and permissions? It looks like you might have had a few in here. Okay, she did. Okay. All right. Well, I guess no one's going to stump Karthik today. That's disappointing. There you go. You can go check out Karthik on LinkedIn. Okay, we'll just give it another minute or two here. Please ask us any questions. You, of course, be able to connect with us through LinkedIn there, as Radhika is putting into the chat, and always, of course, through your account rep. Okay, here's a good question from Tracy. Are there any features that are similar to IAT, which is an acronym I don't happen to know? Do our survey experts on this panel know what IAT means? I'm deficient in this question. Okay, well, Karthik, do you know what IAT means?
Yes, we've done kind of
Association
IIT.
test?
Yeah,
Is
we've
it
done
the
IIT testing, so it's not out of the box.
what is it again, Karthik? Just to make sure everybody's on the same page. It stands for implicit association test. Is that what we're referring to, or there you go,
Yes.
Dan. There you go. Dan said the same thing. Okay, got it.
Yep.
Go ahead, Dan.
So,
Go ahead, Karthik.
yeah, so typically, like you'll have like different kind of questions, series of questions, and you have to answer them like really quickly. And the entire survey is typically done on keyboard because mouse is going to skew like the amount of time you'll take, and stuff like that. And then there's obviously the data that comes out goes through like a set of reporting. So we have done it quite a few times in the past. We've done one for like the different colors and all of that. So we can do it. We've done it, I think, probably with 5 or 6 clients so far, but it's still not out of the box because like we've not been able to like bundle it where you can program it yourself, because we find that almost everyone is fairly unique in nature. So the answer is yes, we could do it, but we need to contact your account manager and we'll kind of help you set everything up, get it set up so the entire survey works on the keyboard. The amount of you take to kind of respond is accurate to like the millisecond and everything. So yep, just reach out to us and we can help you set it up.
Okay.
Just before that, please.
Oh yeah, Iris got another question here. Okay. When using blocks, are you counting the questions that are in similar blocks for pricing considerations? I'm not sure, Ira, you might need to clarify. For pricing, we don't consider the number of questions in a survey doesn't affect the Question Pro pricing. I'm not sure if this is not sure if I'm interpreting that question correctly, but we don't price based on number of questions used. So if that answers your question, let us know. If they have a further follow-up, let us know. That answers your question. Okay, great. Okay. Are there, Tejas has a question here. Are there API calls for the developers to use in their apps outside the Question Pro interface? If so, how do we call the functionality? Anoop, you sound like the API guy.
And API stands for Noob, by the way. So there we go. We have a
Anoop protocol interface.
the link to that API documentation, which Koro referred to as part of a release, is already there in the chat thread. You can take a look at that. And there is that interface, which we call which everybody's tending to use now with the Postman interface. You can take a look at how to call that interface outside Question Pro. So that's Postman integrating with Question Pro. So take a look at that. Good. And if you have any questions, don't feel free. We are still around for a bit, and I can answer them.
Okay, keep the questions coming. So far, we've had some pretty deep stats questions about clustering methodologies. We've got API questions. We've had an acronym that I've never heard of, but fortunately, our survey practitioners know what implicit association testing is. So good questions. Keep throwing them out there. Nothing is too deep in the weeds for this session. Yes, Radhika just put into the chat also. We've got a great session every Monday, every fourth Monday of the month. We have Question Pro office hours, which is, again, it's a live AMA, Ask Me Anything format. Karthik is there, so you may not come up with your stumper question this afternoon, but if 2 weeks from now or 6 weeks from now you come up with a problem or a question, join our office hours. It's a great way to throw your questions out there, to see what other people are doing, and to do some collaborative learning with us. That's live every fourth Monday. The link there is in the chat. Okay, oh, here's a good product suggestion. Noop, we can put this, Sanket, put that on the suggestions list for the future. Ira says, for the future, it'd be great if you offered a .zip file with all the PDFs. Then the names of the files would be retained. So, Sanket, I'm not sure if that's something you.
Yeah. I mean, interesting you brought that up, Ira. We have that feature in specific product lines. I'm assuming you're referring to the core product line right now in terms of this not being available for all the reports for a specific survey, or are you looking at all the reports for a folder itself? Where is your head at? Referring to this platform, okay, not Question Pro.
I suppose
okay.
export the files, I guess.
Got it. Okay. Good. Well, at least this is someone else's product that we can criticize. All right. Okay, but yeah, this is our first time using Innovent. I hope the experience has been good. We found it really useful, but they clearly have some problems with their PDF download. So
I think we should have put them in a zip file, so in one click everybody could have exported.
Yeah,
yeah, that's a good solution.
Yep, makes sense. Thanks, Ira. right. Any more questions? Okay, well, we're just about at an hour. We'll give it another minute or two here. Oh, it looks like we got another question in the question section from Andrew. Great, thank you, Andrew. Are there plans for end users to be able to use filters on the out-of-the-box dashboards anytime soon? Okay, so that's on the shared dashboards, if I'm interpreting this correctly, the shared dashboards, instead of being a static pre-configured dashboard, would we allow those that the dashboards are shared with to use some degree of filtering or segmentation? Sanket, I don't think that's something that we've considered for that shared dashboard. Is that a functionality that's come up or in consideration, or is that a kind of a net new idea? I've not heard this one before. Is that anywhere in a product roadmap?
So there's a thinking behind that right now. The advanced features of sharing and segmentation is kind of partitioned away with custom experience product line right now. So there's that overlap of thinking. So there's a conscious decision the product team has done to push it into the CX product line. I do hear that there's a request on the what we call the core platform to even have that, but I think that's a strategic choice we have made a year ago, which is worthwhile taking a look at and seeing how big of a pain point this is right now in the market, right? So the answer is we do not have it, and is not part of the product roadmap right now.
Got it, but is available on the CX platform.
Correct.
Is a
That is
as
right.
a shareable dashboard. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, looks like I'm jumping between the chat and the questions stream here. JS has another couple questions here. What is the transaction security in browsers and in mobile? Not exactly. Anoop, does that give you enough information to go on?
I think he has a follow-up clarification there. So SSL
Oh, okay,
is
okay. What is? Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Why don't you
yeah,
take that one?
yeah. So SSL is upgrade to the latest version, Tejas. So unless you're seeing something different on your browser, it should upgrade automatically. That our TLS support 1.0 has been downgraded, so we do not support that with all major browsers. It's all on the latest level. From a mobile standpoint, it is encrypted HTTP back and forth. So the payload itself is encrypted, and then we go through APIs behind the scenes, which runs over a secure framework. Hopefully, I answered your question.
Okay, got a question here from Na Lee. Can external demographic data be appended into the survey data if the demographic questions are not asked in the survey? Who wants to take that one? Good question.
Yep.
Yeah, I know this one's come up. Karthik.
I can take that. Yeah. So I mean, this
Yeah.
is very common, especially if you're doing research with a panel, right? Where the panel provider like typically already has like probably 50, 60 demographic piece of information, like your gender, age, and everything. And asking that again in the survey obviously just wastes everyone's time and just creates more fatigue. So yes, any information from that provider, it could be any provider, or if you're using question per audience as well, can automatically be kind of appended to the question pro data through embed variables or custom variables, we call it, very, very easily. So it's super easy to do. You can just obviously reach out to your support rep to just guide you to how that needs to be done.
Great. Now, hopefully that answers your question.
I'm assuming that's another use case. Feel free to post it on chat. Like that, this is the most common use case. If you have like, if you want to take it through API or something, do let me know.
Okay, Ira actually has a follow-up question there. Karthik, so you can clarify this,
Mhm.
asking, is that accomplished using the merge data functionality, or is that native to the platform? I think let's distinguish between the merge data functionality and then the appending in with custom variables. I think is that what we're being
Right.
asked
So
there.
that's pretty much native to the data collection itself, right? So while you're collecting data itself, you're going to append this information real time, right? So that's completely different from merging. So once all this data is collected, and then when you are merging, again, we have what we call custom variables that you can merge as well. So we have 2 or 3 different surveys, and they have these custom variables or external piece of information that will also get merged. I hope that answers the question.
I think so. I think so.
I just posted a link because the security question was still lingering with the version number. So there's a document. Thanks to Nilesh, who's still awake. He just posted that, gave it to me, asking me to post it back to the chat. Do you showcase our security levels on our platform?
Okay, we just got a couple minutes here until we're into 1 hour. We're happy to hang around longer, of course. But if you want to address any last questions, anything you're thinking of, anything you want to try, anything you're not sure about, any or even a feature request, please just let us know. All right, well, I think we're just about there. We'll do a go and gone on any last questions. And if not, I think Karthik, Sanket, anything to add before we wrap up here?
No, I think we got a good broad set of questions coming in. So I'm very happy that the engagement was this high, surprisingly high at this time in the afternoon. So I'm
Has
good to
been a
go
long
here.
day. It's a long day.
Yeah.
A few hours in and you're still asking about APIs, so we appreciate that. Still got some stats questions out there, so good job everyone for hanging with us. Thank you so much everyone for joining us, for being Question Pro customer, for coming in and asking a bunch of great questions and seeing what's next for our really advanced power users. So if there is nothing else in the chat, I'll do a final check here. Just want to say, yeah, thank you. Thanks for being a Question Pro customer, and thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, everyone.